To start, the meaning of cum laude is with honor or distinction, and that certainly applies not only to the horses that carry that prefix, but to the entire Celecki family. The Celeckis have been visible not only in the show ring for several decades, but they've also devoted countless numbers of hours to our New York State Morgan Horse Society. Joanne is in charge of the futurity, and Al has been our membership director for over a decade. Al also was a recipient of the AMHA Master's Certificate in 1997. Our New York Morgan show manager and present corresponding secretary is Diane Garrow, one of the 4 Celecki children. I was prompted to conduct this interview in late December when our board received a thank you from Nancy Case and the New England Morgan Horse Association. She singled out Al for his participation in the recent equine affair Fantasia performance. So that we can fully appreciate Al's contribution and the path he took to get there, I'm pleased to share with you some background on the Cum Laude Morgans and the Celecki family. And Al and Joanne, thank you for all of your hard work over the years. We're glad that you're members of our New York State Morgan Horse Society family. Equine Affair is the nation's premier equine exposition and equestrian gathering. The highlight of the event is the Pfizer Fantasia, a musical celebration of the horse. Al and his pair were asked to represent pairs driving as part of the Morgan Horse presentation during the event. We're pleased to be able to share with you Al's thoughts.
That experience at the Equine Affair was probably, and I've written it up for the next trailer, that's the World Series, and the Super Bowl. That's the biggest experience I've ever had. We showed that pair. They said there was 4,000 people in the stands, and there probably was that many people. That place was packed every night. And to drive in there each night with that many people, and now it was a show. It's a musical extravaganza. That's what it was. I guess we must have been the 6th act, and we had 9.5 minutes to perform. And Nancy Case set this thing up, and we were there on Wednesday night to do a practice. And so she had a pattern for us to run. Well, we ran the pattern, and who was running the program that said we were too long. We had to cut it down. So that was Wednesday when we had one practice. So Thursday night we went in, and Steve Davis took one of the UVM horses in, just with the bridle on, and showed him in hand. He went in, and I was the first horse to go in with my pair, and I had a pattern. I did a half pattern, came across, diagonally, went around the ring, and I had to stay on the rail, because as I passed the end gate for the second time, Judy Nason came in was the Western horse. And then everybody knew I had to stay on the rail because I was the least maneuverable. And I had to stay on the rail. And everybody else came in and did a pattern, but they told us they didn't want any dead spots. And so the ones that were riding, the Western horse, the English horse, the Dressage horse, and Park horse, they had to sort of improvise so everybody wasn't on one end. And then you brought in a pleasure driving horse and a Park harness horse. Now all the time I'm driving around this way, and the people, there was music, but I couldn't even hear the music. I was concentrating on it, and these people were just raising the roof. I never had 4,000 people howling and screaming, clapping at us. And after we did our pattern, like I was supposed to be after I went around, Steve took his horse out, and then only of us horses, and I was supposed to be the first one out and make a victory pass right down and wave to the crowd. Well, the first night, there was so much activity around, I just drove out. The second night, I could wave a little bit, but by the third night, last night, I just put both reins in one hand, put the whip up, and I got my hat, and then I just waved the rein, and out we went. And to hear that many people hollering and screaming just raised the roof on that thing. It was the most exciting thing I ever been into. But if you asked me what the music was, I didn't have a clue. I'm concentrating. Sandy Wooding, Joe was supposed to ride with me, but that's when she ended up in the hospital. So Sandy Wooding rode with me. And I said, Sandy, you have to be on my set of eyes, watch these other horses, because I've got to keep on the rail. And so I say, that was the most exciting thing I've ever been into. And Banana Parker says, it'd be great if we had that many people, at the Grand National. To show your horse in front of, let's say between 11 and 12,000 people for 3 nights that we showed our Morgans. We started driving in 1983, a horse named Quinn. That's December's first foal. And it was at Mumford, and they had it was like a CDE thing. It was a 3 event. We did dressage, ring work, and I was ahead at both of those. Then it came to cones. I missed the cone. I got eliminated. And so I started driving. My first experience there, by guy, I got eliminated. And so that was in 1983 when I first started driving. And before I went to the first carriage drive, Larry Poland had a clinic I went to. And I remember Larry saying that, I read all the books, all the bits you're supposed to have and all that. And he says, don't worry about the bits. Go with what your horses want. If you go best with the snaffle, don't put a curb in this mouth. Drive with the snaffle. Best advice anybody ever gave me as far as driving goes. Don't worry about what the book says, what you should have in there. Put in what's comfortable for you and the horse. And so that's when I started. And I always wanted to drive a pair, and I never got a chance to until, we lived in King Ferry, and a friend of ours, dairyman, he had a couple horses, some Morgans, and then I broke those 2 horses for him to drive, and then I put those together as a pair. And I first experienced at Walnut Hill, I had Dick Talcott's horses as a pair. And then, I showed them 2 or 3 years. And by then, Ewell's brother there, Cap Rider, was a 5-year-old, and I put those 2 together, and I think I've been driving there for 5 or 6 years now. Cum Laude Ewell, Cum Laude Cap Rider. Ewell, we named him, we had an exchange student from Denmark, and we named him alphabetically. And the year Ewell was born, I know it was the year of the J, and Helene's middle name was Ewell, J-U-H-L. So, don't know what it means in Danish, but that's how he got his name. And then when Cap Rider was born, a friend of ours' son got married a girl from Austria, so we went to the wedding. And over there, look at this, year of the K then, and they had this Cap Rider. So I said, what's Cap Rider? That's the name of a beer in Germany. So that's how he got named Cap Rider. That remembers the day we went to Austria. So that's how Ewell got his name, how Cap Rider got his name.
Al's pair are second-generation Cum Laude Morgans. The first Morgan on the farm was Acadia's December, a Morgan that they purchased from their longtime friend Sandra Wooding. December was out of Workland, Linda.
Well, I looked around, quite a while. We knew the Woodings, and I saw December as a weakling at mid-A. I decided we'll take December, because it was between those 2. So as a weanling, because we got her as a yearling, because she was born in '69, and we saw her shown at mid-A as a weanling, and then this 3-year-old didn't pan out, so then we went back to Sandy and we bought that one there for
What
Sandy.
attracted you to December? Was there something about her, or?
No, I guess I liked the breeding. I started a little bit in the breeding. She's bent down in Linden Cross. Of course, that was the hot bloods those days, you see. And and then, bent down, he has that look, that head on her, and all was offspring in her. So that's where we got December.
And she had a nice broad chest.
Yeah, she did. Diane showed her, I don't think we bred her until she was 8 or 9 before we started breeding her, yeah. And
So,
then she had 10 offspring for us.
Yep.
Diane showed horses. Kathy, she wouldn't, well, she was
horse.
about 4 years old. We were down the cold gates by guy. She thought the horse was going to run away with her, so she jumped off the horse. I said, Kathy, don't jump. Don't. We were in an outdoor ring, fortunately. Don't jump. And she did. She just jumped right off that horse, and I caught her in the air. So she showed sheep. And then Mark, he showed horses, and Dave, our youngest son. But Mark did most of the riding. And when Dave came along, we were breeding Brandine, and he did quite a lot of driving of the horses. And Brandy, Yeah, she was the first good show horse that we had, and she was, always is, and still today, she's a real hot mare. She's 25, 25 years old. She's born in 1980, and she still is hot. If you anybody ride her, you better know what you're doing, because she will, she's strong going horse. And, but she was a good show horse. Mark did most of the showing with her. I guess I started her, and then for about 2 summers then while Mark was in college, in fall, he did a great job with her. But Mark's got a beautiful set of hands, boy. Candy was the park mare. That's when I'm riding over there. And the reason she's a park mare because I could never get her to walk. And she's the only one of our horses that I bred that I couldn't drive. I drove her as a 2-year-old, and I started out in the amateur show. She threw herself and broke the shaft of the cart. And as a 3-year-old, by God, I tried to drive her, and by God, she'd go fine going straight. As soon as she turned in the shaft, by God, she would start bobbing. So then I put the saddle on her. But the third time I put the saddle on her, I went out across the road from where we used to live. Barns on the side of the road, and the field I worked in was across the road. And I got on her, and we walked around about 3 steps, and that mare reared right up. And by God, and I slid right off, and I held onto the reins, and I hit the ground. I let go, and when I hit the ground, she was coming this way. And I put my feet up like this, and I caught her right on the saddle, and I pushed, and she landed here instead of here. Went across into the barn. I walked over to the barn, got her, put her back on her. She never did that again. So she was about an 8-year-old. Then I said, well, let's try driving her again. Hitched her again. At that time, I had a pipe buggy, and I had a 2-inch pipe for shafts. And we started across the road, fine. And soon we started turning her, she felt her butt end hit with this side hit her, up she went. And I told the boys, whoa, we're done. And she's the only horse, the guy that I drove her as a 2-year-old, but she wasn't a driving horse. She would not drive. She just hated those shafts, something awful. So she was our park horse.
From a profile published in our newsletter, The Trader, here's some background on Al. He started showing horses while a student at Penn State. He worked for Meadowbrook Farms, a Belgian draft horse breeding farm, during the summer. His showing career started at the Ohio State Fair. Al's interest in Morgan horses began at Penn State, where Topfield and Quaker Lady were included in the Penn State Morgan herd. Al showed both of these horses at the Eastern States Horse Show in the 1950s.
I took Topfield there and Quaker Lady. Topfield, that was a real slim, trim horse, not very deep bodied and all. And so we do very well with him. And I remember this the day I died. Professor Cy Terrell was the judge. And there were 9 horse Morgan mares standing in line. And I am standing in the 6th hole. Yeah. And Professor Terrell gets up there and he announces his reasons. He comes there and he places 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He comes to me, 6th hole with Quaker Lady. Here's the best mare in the class. But I had to put her there because we had to have uniformity. And these 5 horses above her, by God, all were the same type and all, uglier than sin. And here he is, he says to everybody, there's the best mare in the class, and I'm standing in the 6th hole. She taught me how to ride with a full bridle on. I got on her when I was a student there. By God, we had these Morgans, so I got on her, and heck, I was just a farm kid. We rode our draft horses, with work bridles on it, with ropes, So I put a saddle on her. What did I know what English said? Didn't know anything. Got on her, picked the rein, she bucked me right off. I tried it 3 times, she bucked me off. I went to the library, and I got a book on English riding. And it says it had 2 bits. I had 4 reins. I didn't know what 4 reins were. And so I got the book, and I read it, and I went back to the barn, saddled her up, got on her, and luckily for me, I picked the snaffle rein up first. We walked right off. I picked up the curb rein, she bucked me right off. There, I said, now I got to go back to the library again. Back to the library again, and I read some more about how to hold these reins and what they were doing. And after that, by God, that's how I taught myself to ride in a flat saddle and a full bridle. Because I tell you, that mare pushed me right off. Because I was just, heck, I was a young buck then, it didn't bother me any. But she taught me how to ride a horse with a big saddle, with a full bridle on.
Shortly after his experiences at Penn State, Al spent 3 years training with the Colgates of Home Farm, the Old Wick prefix. Here, Al shares some thoughts on some of the horses he worked with while there.
I worked for the Colgates for 3 years in the early 1960s. They had Windcrest Abner and Bo the Lovely. She was the best horse ever, park horse I had. By those days, I got pictures of her here too somewhere. Be showing her. And by today's standard, by God, she was the Lovely was a Pecos daughter. Yeah, I showed, for 3 years I worked for the Colgates.
In closing, we'll leave you with one more fun story. Although we can't quite remember the horse's name, and that might be a good thing, enjoy this clip about the story of the Morgan Jumping Fool.
He was a jumping. We had Dutch doors in there, and one day, by guy, I was cleaning the barn, opened the door, he was in there, and I was there shoveling manure, and there was a manure spreader there. That galley jumped over the manure spreader, out through the top half of the door was open, the bottom half was open. So here's the hole, 4x4, because it's a 4x8 door, top was open. He jumped out of that stupid thing, down to the barnyard, ran around. I went out there to catch him, and then darn, if he'd gone on, and he jumped right back into that door. But this horse, they called him Donnie, and we sold him to somebody in the hunt field. And this lady come along, one of those, says, well, here, you got a jumping horse. Said, yeah. So we went out, and down in New Jersey, there was a hunt club there. So we would go out there, and this lady would ride the horse, and there they had a gate, so you can, those who didn't want to jump to the hunt, they can ride it around. And so they would, this lady would jump this horse, and then he would. So she said, I'd like to see you ride this horse over a jump. So I put a jump up. Oh, no. She said, I want to see him jump. I never jumped a horse in my life. We put that thing up 3 feet. Just an outdoor ring, fortunately. I came around, by guy, I can tell you how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to get up there and hold the and jump. There I am, up 3 feet in the air. I swear I was to stop the Empire State Building. When we landed, my feet went this way, the baby was down there, I grabbed out of his neck, I pulled the rein up, and we stopped because there was a fence. If it jumped that fence, we'd still be full. So we stopped. The lady says, if that horse can jump that well, and everybody rides as far as you do, I'll buy him. I got my commission, we sold him.